A squat feeling like shit and you don't actually know how to get better at it. As someone who in the past 6 months has added 35 kilos to my squat and can also squat over 300 kilos or 660 pounds, I do think I have a few tips that can help. The first thing you actually need to think about is what you're actually wearing in the gym. Are you wearing equipment that's going to benefit or harm your squats? Let's have a look. First things first, belt. Are you using a lever belt? Are you using a prong belt? Or are you using one of these breath belts? Okay, the prong belt and the lever belt are probably going to be better than a breath belt just because you are going to be able to brace harder into that material. This breath belt is just to get you used to bracing. Knee sleeves. We've got a wonderful amount of knee sleeves. We've got different types. You've got your performance ones, which are a little bit stiffer. And then you've also got just some regular floppy old knee sleeves. Depending on which one you use will depend on how much more you can squat. The Performance SBD knee sleeves will add a little bit more to your squat than a regular knee sleeve. Whereas if you get the A7 Rigor Mortis or Inza knee sleeves, they are going to add at least 5 to 10. So a bit of a significant amount to your squat. And last thing is your shoes. Are you wearing flat shoes or are you wearing heeled shoes? This is going to determine what kind of squat position you need to be in and how much you can squat in that position. Now you've decided on what equipment that you need, let's think about technique. Are you going to be a high bar squatter or a low bar squatter? If you don't know what the difference is, I do have another video that I will leave pinned here so you can actually make up your mind for yourself. My personal professional opinion as a powerlifting coach and someone who can squat quite a lot of weight is low bar is the best solution for this. Now you've actually come to your senses and realized you need to squat low bar, the next thing you need to do is decide on where your feet should go. Are you either going to go with a nice wider stance or a nice closer stance? This will all depend on your hips, your knees, and your ankles. What you actually need to think about with your hips when either choosing that wide stance or that closer stance is how mobile they are. Can you actually sink your body into that hip joint with a closer stance? Or are they flexible enough to actually work that wider stance better? Deciding that, use just repetition. You're gonna have to keep repeating and repeating and repeating those squats until you find one that feels the best for you. For me personally, a little bit of a wider stance, a bit wider than my shoulders as I sink down into that box, creating that forward lean. Feels so much better. Your knees and ankles kind of come as one package. Is your ankle mobility good enough to allow your knee to travel over your toe? And is your knee strong enough to actually support that position for yourself? One way to test your ankle mobility is get a nice solid wall, take your shoes off, go about a fist away from the wall, and touch your knee to that wall without your heel raising. If you can do that, perfect. If not, and your heel actually raises, you are going to need some artificial ankle mobility. That comes in the form of those heeled shoes that we were talking about, or buying some wedges to put under your feet. If you can push your knees over your toes, you can wear flats. So Converse, Air Forces, or getting barefoot shoes from anywhere on the internet. Really. Moving on from that, are your knees actually strong enough to be able to hold that capacity of weight? One really simple test for this is called a sissy squat or a Sisyphus squat. The sissy squat or Sisyphus squat is a great test of knee strength and knee durability because the knee is the only actual moving joint in this movement, and it also can tell you how deep your range of motion can be and how much pressure you can put through the knees. All you'll need is a nice sturdy base. This is a rack for all of you that didn't know. Nice and sturdy. You're going to go onto your toes, clench your glutes, get them nice and engaged, get your core nice and engaged, and you're just going to allow your knees to drift over your toes, leaning back as far as you can go. Basically, you want to push your knees as far forward as you go and lean back as far back as you can actually go. The further forward you can drive your knees, the further back you can actually lean, the better your knee capability is. If you can only do this, for example, you're going to have to work on that. Doing some narrow stance leg press is probably going to be one of the best exercises for you to be doing. But if you can go all the way down and all the way up, no problems. You should be fine being able to drive that knee over your toes in that squat. Your knees are perfectly healthy. I would just recommend, if you are doing those squats where your knees do travel over your toes, getting some squats in as a prerequisite to your training, as a warm-up, just day-to-day stuff, just to keep those knees nice and healthy, so that when you do reach those heavier weights, your knees don't feel like you're 96 fucking years old. The last tip is going to shock a lot of people, especially the beginners. Just because you can squat a little bit of weight, I can guarantee you don't squat correctly. And I don't mean you're not using the right equipment and you're not using the right squat bar or low bar or high bar or whatever the fuck. I mean, when you squat, you set up irregularly, you don't have a squat pattern to follow, and you can't brace to save your life. No matter what belt you get, no matter how tight you make that belt, a belt is not going to make up for a shit brace. Learning how to brace correctly and learning how to set up in a manner each time you squat, it feels the exact same. And also having a squat pattern to follow each time is going to help your squat bigger than both of those other 2 points I've made here. So, if you do want to get your squat better, and you want to know what kind of form you're using and how to improve that form, how to improve your squat patterns, join my Discord link down below. Every Friday we'll do a form review. You just need to upload it to the right channel, and I'll go through and critique everyone's form and give you some feedback on what you can do for absolutely free. If you don't want to, that's completely fine, okay? But just know you have a free way to check yourself before you wreck yourself.